Cue the intro. Music. Okay, stop. We're here today because we're going to learn how to put some samples into a drum rack and then trigger them with an Elgato Stream Deck. I'm using a Stream Deck Mini, but it'll work with any Stream Deck. Alright, so this is the Stream Deck here. I have it set so where I have triggers here with sounds loaded. It's pretty responsive. The only time you get any glitches is if you try to go too fast, but it's actually pretty good with that too. Works pretty good. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is click on the Stream Deck app. I'm assuming you already have that because you own a Stream Deck. So open that up. If you have nothing set up, it's already going to show up empty. If not, then just click New Profile and it'll be clean like this. Okay, so what you want to do from here is you want to go down to your options here on this side, and there is a category here called MIDI buttons, so you can program any one of these to be MIDI buttons. Here's how you do it. See, there's different options here: MIDI note toggle, and the one we're gonna need here is MIDI note. So what you want to do is you want to drag this onto whatever button you want to use, and then your options are gonna pop up down here on the bottom. So this is what you want to do. You want to leave this on 1. You can name this if you want. Let's just name it sound for now. Okay, sound. You can see it gets labeled there too. Alright, so what you want to do here so that it can communicate to Ableton is choose first what MIDI note this button corresponds to. So I already figured this out, so I know MIDI note number 36 is going to be C1. So I like to start building off my drum racks around C1, so I know that's MIDI note 36. If you just count from the bottom of the keyboard all the way up to C1, that's going to be 36. So that's how that works. So I'm going to type in 36 here. And now you leave all this stuff here like that and you go down to setup. And when you go to setup here, you're going to want to use virtual port. If there's nothing there, it's going to ask you to go through a keyboard, but we're not using that. So you want to use virtual port. Click that. And it's going to ask you to name the virtual port. I already named mine Ableton so I can find it easier later. So you do that and then we're going to go over to Ableton. I'll show you how to make it connect. Alright, so we're here in Ableton. Open up a blank session and first thing you want to do is create a new MIDI track. Alright, we have our MIDI track, so go ahead and drop a drum rack on there. Empty drum rack. Now what you want to do is navigate to your samples, find whatever sample you want to load on that key and do whatever you want. So I'm gonna put clap. Okay, let's just say I'm gonna use that clap on that trigger. So remember, on the Stream Deck software we programmed that button to MIDI CC note number 36 because that corresponds to C1. So when you go to your drum rack, you see right here, you see C1. If you don't see C1, you're probably in the wrong spot, but learn how to use Ableton. C1, boom, drop your sample onto that pad. Okay, now that's that. We got our sample loaded on there, leave it there. Alright, now what you want to do is set your input for your MIDI track to receive the information from your Stream Deck, and this is where naming that virtual port Ableton is going to come in handy. So if you look over where your track information is and you see where it says all ends, this is where you choose your input. So you click on that and you'll see something that says Ableton. So these are the different MIDI input options that you can choose from, and we created a virtual port so that brings up Ableton here, or whatever you named it to be. So I named mine Ableton. So choose that. Make sure that it's record enabled and ready to go. Make sure your monitoring is on so that you can hear something. And if we did it correctly, then we should hear some sound. And you see now, the button that we programmed that sound on, it works. That's all you had to do. Now go crazy. Just repeat the process. You know, any key after that, we started on 36, so 36, 37, 38, 39. The first key on the keyboard is 0. I just started at 36 because I like to start my samples off at C1. So that's pretty much the hack right there. While you're streaming, you can have Ableton open and you'll be able to trigger as many samples as you could fit on your Stream Deck. If you have a Stream Deck XL, that's that many more sound effects, and there's no latency. The latency is dependent on your CPU, which is going to run just as smooth as any other session in Ableton, which is the great thing. So come on guys, Give it to me. And I almost forgot the coolest part about this. The fact that it's in Ableton, you can drop any effects on there. I'm going to put a compressor on here just to catch these levels. All right. Just A-B that. Yeah, see? Now my stuff sounds nice and leveled because I added a compressor to my sound effects. Now keep in mind, this is for your stream, so you can go crazy. You can do something like add some reverb or something. I put my whole intro song on one of the triggers so I can just trigger it. And that's pretty much it. So that's the coolest part. It's not only that you can use it as a soundboard while you're streaming or making content pre-recorded, whatever the case is. The coolest thing about it is that you can just treat it like any other audio sample within Ableton and tweak it to your heart's extent. And that's pretty much it. I hope you guys like it. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.